You're watching the Lawrence Television Network, and we are live at the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce Schmooza Palooza at the Orient Hotel, and Brady Pollington is here. He is the Vice President of the Economic Development Corporation. So, what is an Economic Development Corporation? What do you do?
Our number one priority is to build wealth within the community and broaden the tax base. Be great for us to be able to bring in additional companies to offset the tax burden that is typically on the residents. We enjoy a beautiful aesthetic that is Lawrence. We enjoy the fact that our services provide the service that they do. We have power when we need it. We have water when we need it. Our curbs and gutters are nice. The sewer goes away. So tax dollars cover that, and we want to lessen the burden as much as possible on the residents here.
So are we talking about industrial manufacturing, or are we talking about more retail? Or
commercial development that builds
any kind of
businesses
commercial development
and creates a large commercial space where it generates more property tax for the community. Instead of increased mill levies on our residents, then we see more tax base coming in from large employers coming here, from existing employers growing and expanding their operations, as well as new businesses opening doors, entrepreneurs starting and creating products that will in turn create jobs and employ local residents.
How do we encourage folks from Lawrence, Kansas, or how do we encourage folks to come to Lawrence, Kansas? What is the thing that draws them to this community?
Well, and I'm assuming you're talking about businesses.
Yeah, it is business.
How do we attract those into the area? Well, number one is the talent that we have available. If you are going to recruit any company into our community or help any business grow, you got to have at least two things. One is workforce, and the second is real estate. They have to have a place to open their business, and they have to have people to do their work.
Now, how important is that real estate being in proximity to I-70 or the South Lawrence Thruway that's being built? Is that an issue?
It's well, if you're dealing with manufacturing, then the vernacular is that you want to be 5 minutes from 55 miles an hour.
Okay.
Meaning that if they just filled up an 18-wheeler full of product, they want to make sure that those wheels are turning over 55 miles an hour within 5 minutes. Obviously, with the hours of service that a driver has, the cost of fuel, making sure that power unit is operating as much as it possibly can and covering the greatest distance is going to be a lot of savings back towards the comfort. Transportation is a big deal for any type of manufacturing, distribution, warehousing. So having the transportation infrastructure in place is a very big deal, and we are coming up on a great opportunity to really put a spotlight on Lawrence and Douglas County and the South Lawrence traffic way actually be.
Sure. How valuable does that make a potential retail area like 35th and Isle to new development? Because isn't that the heart of it all? It just passes right through.
Instead of having all the congestion now on 23rd Street at Pleasant Park, that now moves out to the K10, the South Lawrence traffic way.
Right.
So what you've done is increase the amount of traffic, which is what retailers are looking for. They're looking for how many times a car is going to go through a certain intersection over an hour, over a day, over a week. And that's going to help them make their business decision on whether they put a retail location there or not. So when you increase the time in transit, or decrease it rather, for a car to get from Topeka to Kansas City or vice versa, you're going to increase traffic through that area. It's just more efficient. It makes more sense. That's why you don't see a lot of retail opportunities along I-70 because it's a toll road. You have to pay to get off. South Lawrence traffic way isn't the case.
Right. Now, do you find that there are certain types of businesses or industries that are just not approachable for Lawrence and Douglas County, or is it pretty much fair game?
There's an opinion there.
Okay.
And this is my personal opinion. It's not the opinion of the Economic Development Corporation. Disclaimer. Yes.
Right.
But Lawrence is a community, and Douglas County for that matter, that appreciates clean businesses. That's something that's not going to be harmful to the environment. And so, a case in point is that we wouldn't necessarily find it to be a good prospect for our venture park to bring in a company that's going to convert municipal solid waste into bioethanol. I think there will be, even though you can make the building look as pretty as you want to, you can cover it up and put as many trees trees and foliage around it as you can to walk it. The fact is that there's still going to be a bouquet coming out of there.
Right.
As those biodegradable materials are converted into sugars, which then is what's converted into fuel.
So is there another area of town where that's appropriate?
In Lawrence, I don't think so.
Okay, because I know I live by the dog food plant. There's quite a bouquet over there.
Yeah. It's not the same as beef, though. So
No.
we have that going for us.
Right.
I come from a beef community where about 10% of the nation's beef was produced out of that location. So it's surrounded by feed yards, and they have their own scent.
How long have you been in town?
I got back into Lawrence in July of 13. So I've been here a little over a year and a half. Graduated from here in 2002. And was out of the community from about 2003 on, but it's definitely good to be back in Lawrence.
Are you surprised by the progressive nature of this town? It seems to be a town that is always looking to rise to new heights.
I think that this town in the community, not just Lawrence, but Medora, Baldwin City, even Lecompton, being part of the Economic Development Corporation of Lawrence and Douglas County, I have the pleasure of serving those other communities as well. And all of them are ready to come to the table and see how they can make the communities grow. They don't want to stay in the silo anymore.
Right. Do you think it's surprising that, a community like Baldwin, for example, is a little more progressive in the tech area than even Lawrence? And I'm thinking specifically about the fiber project that keeps swirling around commission and is still in abeyance, if you will. Yet Baldwin seems like they're going to beat us to the punch with fiber.
I think what it means is that entrepreneurs are going to do exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
And part of our strategic plan and part of the initiatives that we have right now are to create infrastructure to help support them as much as we possibly can. Sometimes it's even access to capital. What can we do to help fund a small gap in an entrepreneur's dream to bring a business to life, or a small business to open their doors? How can we provide some capital, maybe a little bit more risky, to the extent that a bank will take that risk, but we will, as a community, we want to create those types of opportunities. So to hear that Baldwin City may be getting fiber before Lawrence does, if that's the terminology we're going to use, no, it doesn't surprise me, because if I've learned anything, that if an entrepreneur wants to accomplish something, they're going to do it.
So you travel all over the country representing Lawrence and Douglas County. What is the greatest misconception that people outside of our area have about us?
This is one. There are two actually. One is that where's Lawrence?
Yeah.
And if you can,
I'm extremely proud of Missouri.
I am extremely proud of this community. And if you don't know where the University of Kansas is, the birthplace of basketball.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
When did you get here from Mars? You're not from this planet. That's my opinion. But I do have to educate a certain body of people that this is what Lawrence is. This is where Lawrence. This is what Lawrence is. This is where Lawrence is. And the other thing that keeps coming up to the surface is that it's tough to do business in Lawrence.
Why do people think that?
That this is a perception, not necessarily a reality, but a perception. And there are some in the community that would agree with it, some that won't. This isn't my perception, but it is what I hear. It's the feedback I give it. And it's tough to do business in Lawrence. There are people in this community that don't want to see development in any shape or form take place, or they want to see it in a different way, which means they're restricted to.
But I mean, can't that argument be made about any community in the country? So Brady, one last question for you. We are 6 weeks away from 2015, if you can believe that. What's your number one priority for next year?
My number one priority? Are we talking New Year's resolution?
Now, I'm not talking about you and your love life here, brother. I'm talking about the EDC.
That was me.
I know what your priority is, Chief.
Our priority for the Economic Development Corporation is to make sure that our businesses here know that we are a resource, that we want to be in front of them, to steal David Corliss's line, our city manager's line is, we want to know where your favorite problem is. What's going to keep you from doing business as efficient as you need to do it? And how can we help make it better? What can we as a community, how can we as a community respond to whatever issues, needs you may have, whether it be workforce related, legislatively related, or whatever the case may be. We want to be involved. We want to help. We are a resource.
Sounds like we're going to have a real good year.
I think we will.
Brady Pollington is the Vice President of the Economic Development Corporation for Lawrence and Douglas County. Thank you for being with us today at Schmooza Palooza on the Lawrence Television Network.